This is Tim Bost with Financial Cycles Weekly, and we appreciate your participation here. We're still working to try to get a few of the technical details resolved here. Bear with me 1 second while I see if I can pull up this other screen that'll give us perhaps your questions. Hold on 1 moment, please. Let's see here. Where did that go? Okay. Sometimes the technology gets a little bit complicated here, but we do the best we can, and we're working on different webinar systems. So this is a modification of the Google Plus Hangouts, and it gives us the opportunity to talk face-to-face like this if you can. Let's see. Okay, we have the knowledge base, and here into this console over here. Okay, good. I think we actually can see a few of the list of the participants here, and I'm hoping that I can get the question box open. So we'll give that a try as well. If you are able to see a question box on your screen and can type in a hello or hi, where are you from, that would be very helpful at this point, because we do want to make this as interactive as possible. And while we're doing that, let's see if I can find some of the slides that we wanted to look at here today. Let's see here. Aha! Now then, if we do this, we may be able to get an actual slideshow. Okay. Let's see. So what I seem to be missing at this point are the questions, if they're coming in, but we will go ahead and start our session here today. So we do want to thank all of you for joining us here for our session. And I've got a lot to cover here, because we have gotten a number of people gathered in here at this point. I can see that going on, and I did have a couple of questions that had been emailed in prior to our session. So for those of you who sent yours along, I appreciate your contributions in that department. Of course, we'll be trying to answer your questions as we go here. But if we are able to send emails to tim@timbost.com, what I'll do is open that up on another computer here, and we'll see if that comes in that way. Let me see. We've got that going on. Okay, that's where I'm seeing the messages now. They are coming in, being forwarded via the email, so I do appreciate that. And we've gotten a message that says hi. Okay, and we got Elizabeth joining us here. This is great. And I see Bill, who's online now. Appreciate that, Bill. I'm glad you could join us. And we've got Connie and Tan and Dawn. Welcome, Dawn. Glad you could join us here today. Ivy is with us. Kelly, Dave, Ron, all of you, glad you could participate here as well. Kevin had submitted questions in advance. So Kevin, I appreciate your sending those contributions along as well. And let's see now, we're getting hi from Singapore. Welcome to our Singapore contingent. I'm glad that you could participate as well. And from Toronto. So welcome from Toronto. So thanks for our international audience here coming along with us today. So we'll keep an eye on this now that we've figured out how the questions are actually arriving on this end, and hope that we can answer them along the way as you participate, because we do have a good bit of information to share here today. And I'm very, very delighted to be able to do a live event like this so that we can have some time together and dig into our topic for the day, which is the 8 keys to finding the money in your horoscope. We've got a lot to cover with this today, a lot to discuss, and certainly want to engage your questions as we move along. One of the ones that we want to talk about to start with here, just as we begin to set up some of the ground rules. I know we do have an international audience, and Kevin had sent in a question asking about the difference between sidereal astrology and tropical astrology in terms of house placements in the chart. And this is one of those things that we have to acknowledge here at the outset, that we do have different systems of astrology that we work with. And here the bias is toward the Western astrological system, which uses the tropical zodiac, as opposed to most of the Vedic astrologers in India and other countries that prefer the sidereal system. There are some Western astrologers that use the sidereal calculations as well. And these are simply a comparison of measuring systems. So whenever we're talking about planetary positions, and as opposed to their relationship to each other, they're going to be the same in the tropical or the sidereal system. The question is, what degree of the zodiac do we put them in? And the sidereal system is based on observational, looking at the positions of the constellations in the sky, whereas the tropical zodiac starts at the spring equinox, and that becomes the 0 degrees Aries point. I know we're getting real technical real fast here, and I didn't mean to jump in that much, but to start with here, what we wanted to say is that we do acknowledge the fact that there are different systems of astrology, and with the material that we're presenting here today, and indeed most of the material that we've worked with, our bias is toward the tropical zodiac with the Western system. They are both certainly valid. They both have their uses here, but we also want to acknowledge that we are limiting our presentation to the tropical zodiac. So thanks for that question, Kevin. If you've got more concerns about that, be delighted to follow up either in this session or with private questions about that at another time. So during this time together, we're going to talk about a number of things that we are looking at here. As we talk about these 8 keys to finding the money in the horoscope, what we're looking at are really some action steps and some areas of exploration for you here that can kind of turn your financial future around and give you some different perspectives on things, and that's what our aim is here. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some of the billionaires who have successfully found the money in their horoscopes, and some facts about making money with astrology along the way. And of course, we've got our new session of the How to Find the Money in Your Horoscope class coming up. I noticed a couple of names here from folks who that have participated in this class in previous sessions. So I appreciate your joining us here today to provide some moral support and reinforcement. And if you've got questions along the way, then by all means add them to the mix. But we've had a growing number of students now who participated in this class from time to time. We offer it every few months or so in order to allow new students to come in and find the money in the horoscope with this particular instructional program. Of course, in addition to the details on the class, we also have an offer for tuition, because we are opening up class registration in just a few hours from now. So we'll be talking about that, and we've got a lot more for you as well. So because a lot of you have already sent in your locations, and I see several more people have joined us, Welcome, Robert. Glad that you could be here, and Chris, glad that you're with us right now, and Susan. So we appreciate all of you that are joining us here for the session. You can type in the questions on your box, and we'll try to answer them as many as we can as we go along here. Because I'm dealing with multiple computer screens, sometimes there's a little bit of a delay in my getting the questions in front of me, but we do want to pay attention to them as best we can here. So again, we've got an international audience working in multiple time zones. That's one of the reasons we've tried to schedule it at this time, so that we can catch some folks in Australia and Asia in midday and or early in the day anyway, and the folks in South Africa and parts of Eastern Europe. It's a little bit late in the evening for you, but we don't want to keep anybody up in the wee hours if we can. So at any rate, glad that all of you are able to join us here today. And for those of you that have not had a chance to meet, I see a number of familiar names and also some names of folks that I've not had an opportunity to meet before. I am Tim Boss. This is my private email address. You might want to make a note of that, tim@timboss.com, because from time to time you may want to send a question or communicate otherwise. But I have been a consulting astrologer for a number of years now. In fact, I've got over 40 years of experience with astrology and have been a full-time professional astrologer for more years than I care to count. I'm a member of all of the major astrological organizations, the National Council for Geocosmic Research, the American Federation of Astrologers, International Society for Astrological Research. On the one on the right there is Amazon best-selling author there. I am, in fact, the author of a number of books, and a couple of them have actually hit #1 on the Amazon bestseller list for a couple of hours anyway. That's a constantly changing field there. So I can't claim a weeks-long track record of best-selling status, but it's nice to hit that every once in a while. But these are a number of my publications, a lot of them in the area of working with financial astrology in the markets, and also a number of publications on the more general application of financial astrology with individuals. This web address at the bottom of the page here that you see, harmonicresearchassociates.com, is my publisher, and all the titles are available there. Not all of them are always available on Amazon, but we do try to keep those available in a variety of locations there. I have been the editor and publisher of Financial Cycles Weekly newsletter since 1988. So we've been around a while, more than a quarter of a century with that publication. And what we do there is track the financial markets, specifically U.S. equities is our primary point of focus there, using astrological principles to run a model portfolio and to determine what's going to happen with the markets. The whole aim here is to develop a program that allows our members at financialcyclesweekly.com to trade profitably. And we've had a very good success with that. We've been featured in a number of publications in the business world, including Barron's and Trader Planet and so forth. So we've gotten a good bit of recognition there, largely because of the track record that we have put together over the last dozen years or so. You can see here in these columns, the DJIA is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and then the S&P 500. Our model portfolio's annual performance is in the right-hand column with the yellow background, and we've never had a losing year in the markets, although certainly the returns vary from year to year. We've averaged about a 35% per year. At this point, during the year to date, we're about up roughly 26–27%, something like that, with our model portfolio. So we're very pleased with the results that we've gotten with that, and it continues to get us recognition. We've recently featured in Timer Digest, which is an industry publication that looks at the trading results and analyzes the results that people get with their trading methodologies, those of us who publish newsletters and whatnot. So we've been very pleased to be in the top 10 of long-term stock market timers for the last 6 months or so, I think, in Timer Digest, and very pleased to see that ranking there. And this is a really good point to put in the disclaimer here. So since we've started talking about financial returns, the key word here is that past performance is no guarantee of future results. As we talk about your ability to make money with your horoscope, this is certainly a special case scenario in many cases. As we talk about the billionaires and their charts, it doesn't mean that you can be a billionaire too necessarily, but we do want to help you find the money in your horoscope and apply all the appropriate legal disclaimers here, saying that the results that we talk about here are certainly unique and are not always duplicable, although our efforts to do that are quite sincere. So if you're interested in the financial markets, we encourage you to visit at financialcyclesweekly.com. I think you'll find some valuable information there. We have a number of things that you can check out for free on the website, and some various membership programs there as well. But what I do goes beyond just this involvement with stock market astrology and beyond this track record of successful trading in the stock market using astrological principles. My personal mission is to expand awareness, to create some usable tools and to stimulate opportunities for cooperation, so that you and I and all of us can experience more true wealth in our lives. This is what this is really all about. It's kind of a dedicated mission for me, and I take this aspect of this work very, very seriously in my efforts to move forward here. So what we mean when we talk about true wealth, well, it is certainly not just money or the things that money will buy, possessions or material advantage of one sort or another. These are all important, and they're obviously a part of being wealthy. But I'd like to apply almost a more literal definition here to wealth being a state of well-being. And certainly this means maintaining good health. If we don't have our health, then we can't feel wealthy regardless of the amount of money that we may have accumulated over a period of time. And we need a certain amount of resilience in other areas as well. This is, it goes without saying that health is the ability to spring back in different situations. We need to be resilient at an emotional level as well, and in all areas of our lives, the ability to bounce back and to respond to situations in positive ways, I would say, is part of what real true wealth is all about. We want opportunities for variety, for creativity in our lives. For me, this is a key part of how I experience my own wealth. And meaningful connections are extremely important. There have been times when this state of well-being has been challenged by me with some major illnesses, and just having people close to me and having the connections with others has become extremely important. And to me, that's a big, big part of what true wealth is all about. I hope you find the same thing to be true. And it's also a state of stability. That is to say, if I'm in a state of true wealth, I clearly understand what my life purpose is all about. I shared part of my personal mission with you a moment ago. This is a key part of that. Along with that stability, financial security comes into play. And when we get back to the money question there as well, certainly if we're well cared for financially, then we can have that sense of stability, a sense of confidence. It gives us the chance to maintain a spiritual focus, to be of service to others on a personal level in our communities, in our nation, in the world, and we can find ways of true service if we are truly wealthy. And I like this phrase, optimistic certainty, knowing that whatever happens, I can hang in there pretty well and get positive results out of the situation. That to me is a very, very important part of what true wealth is all about. And that's really where astrology comes into play. And that's one of the reasons, of course, that we're spending our time together, is that we want to talk about the role of astrology in wealth and in the ability to find the money in the horoscope as we spend our time together here today. So understanding your personal horoscope can open up the experiences of true wealth that we've just talked about in a lot of different ways. Your horoscope reveals your unique personal strengths. And we all have different kinds of strengths, but through your horoscope, we can discover your ability to be creative and to be productive in whatever endeavors you're engaged in. Also, your ability to be nurturing and supportive. We talked about the role of relationships, and this comes into play there as well. And of course, your ability to influence others, to guide them in positive ways for their own improvement. And then the net result of that is your ability to make those connections in deep and meaningful relationships with other people. This is a part of how wealth gets expressed. And it's also part of what is revealed in the horoscope. All these capacities are there. And of course, through the horoscope, we can discern the ability that you have to take independent action and to do so easily and decisively to make things happen in your life. This is an important part of the overall picture. Now, all of these characteristics that we just described are signs of true wealth in your life. And the more we can explore these and understand them, and we can reveal a lot of these through the study of the horoscope and through working with our individual natal charts, then the more we can really broaden our experience of true wealth. But even though true wealth has lots of different expressions in our lives, one of the most consistent challenges for most of us is the fact that we have to deal with money. And that's really why we keep coming back to that as kind of emblematic of what wealth is all about. We said at the outset here that it's not just the money, and that's certainly true, but we also have to understand the kind of role that it plays. So as we explore the ways that money reveals itself in the horoscope, as we learn how to find the money in the horoscope, at the same time we're also opening up a lot of other avenues to true wealth and to personal fulfillment along the way. And that's a very important consideration here. I'm getting a message that says, is the event over or were there technical issues? I think we're still on here. I hope so. Let's see. Okay. Question about the S&Ps come in. If you had a technical issue here, I'm not sure who this came from here, but you might try logging out and logging back on. We are still connected as far as I can tell here with the webinar. And I'm seeing still that we've got a good group of attendees here. So I think everything's working so far. So at any rate, as we look at the horoscope, and what we're really doing is trying to explore all of these other ancillary areas at the same time. And really, that's why we've created this class on how to find the money in your horoscope. The fact is that your horoscope can provide some essential knowledge and guidance that can completely change your life. And I know some of you are experienced with astrology, some of the names that I do recognize here on the list, and that we've had connections before. And I think you understand the degree to which it can be a major life-changing dynamic for you. For others, it may be a little bit new, but as an example, when we talk about the capacity of astrology to be a life-changing experience, the key to experiencing financial success either right now or any time in the future for you, is really all about knowing how to find the money in your horoscope. And that's one of the key principles that we've worked with here and our time together here today and in developing training materials as well, that it's important to have this kind of connection and to know how the horoscope works in order to connect with the money, because it has such a payoff at so many different levels. We see evidence of that again and again whenever we have the news of mega money deals coming down, and there are kinds of mergers happening and acquisitions and all kinds of things of that sort, or in the lives of individuals who have celebrity status, and whenever they're featured in the news, we're reminded of their wealth as well. And it depends on the individuals, and they have varying degrees of worth. For example, Sandra Bullock has been in the news recently because of some of her recent film roles. She's worth about $51 million, has been very, very successful with her career, as has Giancarlo Stanton. A year or so ago, he signed a contract for $325 million with the Miami Marlins. This was the biggest sports contract in history. Of course, this was, I think, for 25 years or so. It's not just a 1 year, 1 season that he was being paid that much for, but still, this was very noteworthy. And if you look at his horoscope at the time, it was a very, very significant set of factors at work for him at that time. Or somebody like Celine Dion, this entertainer who now earns about $40 million a year. She has a net worth of over $630 million and counting. Again, very, very astute as a business person, very talented as an entertainer. And the combination there is quite remarkable, again, when you look at her horoscope. Or the chart of Jack Ma. He is the CEO of Alibaba. He was on the news a day or so ago when President Xi from China was in Seattle. Jack Ma was along there as well to meet with the industrialists from the U.S. And when it says Baba there, that's the trading symbol for Alibaba. When it had its IPO, it was the biggest public offering in history. And he was a multi-billionaire and increased his wealth enormously overnight with that IPO. Or somebody like Lorene Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs, who now has a personal net worth of $10.7 billion. So we do have billionaires who have significant horoscopes whose wealth is reflected in their chart. So it's worthwhile to learn how to look for that. Of course, when we talk about billionaires, Warren Buffett always comes to mind. He's typically in the top 2 or 3 of the wealthiest people of the world, based on the Forbes lists, depending on how current the list is that you're looking at. Then there are times when the lists get updated, his status will drop down to 3rd place or up to 2nd place, whatever it is. It's very interesting because about 6 or 8 years ago, he had an interview with Maclean's magazine. And during the interview, the question came up, well, what has actually made you so successful? And Warren Buffett said, I just happened to be born at the right time in the right place. And he did not come out and say, astrology is responsible, but essentially what he's saying here is, I have a unique birth chart. That's what a horoscope is. A natal horoscope is about the exact time and place where you're born, and we are each unique in that regard. And Warren Buffett acknowledges that. And he says, if I had been born somewhere else or at a different time, essentially I would have had a different configuration in my life. Whether or not he personally acknowledges the role of astrology remains to be seen. He's been very discreet about that, but certainly he understands the concept behind the uniqueness of the horoscope and the ability to find the money in the horoscope. Of course, Warren Buffett was not the first billionaire. That honor goes to J.P. Morgan in the early years of the 20th century. He was very, very proud of being the first billionaire in the world, and very prominent in American finance and politics, in the late 1900s, late 1800s and early 1900s, and he had his personal astrologer, who was Evangeline Adams, one of the most well-known astrologers of the day, and he was very proud of the fact that he used astrology in an active way to help make his business decisions. And he spent a lot of time working with Evangeline Adams, getting the help of a trained professional, and he could afford her services, and tried to hire her away on a full-time basis, but she had other clients that she wanted to attend to. J.P. Morgan famously said that millionaires don't use astrology, it's billionaires who do, and so that was part of him flaunting his own billionaire status. My experience is I've got a number of millionaire clients, and they do in fact use astrology too, but it's kind of cool to have this this quote from J.P. Morgan to help put things in perspective about the importance of the money in the horoscope. So astrology really does work to increase your wealth. These individuals that we've talked about here use it to varying degrees, and they have different kinds of experiences with it. But you have to know how to use astrological tools and techniques correctly if you're going to be able to use it to increase the flow of wealth in your life. And here we're talking about the money, obviously, but also the true wealth that we were talking about a few moments ago that goes beyond just the financial considerations. But if you're going to do that, you have to know how to use the astrological tools and techniques with a good bit of precision, and to be able to apply them correctly. And that's exactly where the big problem comes in for a lot of us. And I have to speak here from my own experience. I was interested in astrology and began to study and work with it for a lot of years before I began to understand how it actually worked. In fact, I'd been actively trying to learn it for about 15 years before I had that light bulb experience of saying, oh, that makes sense that way. And then from that time, it took me another 10 or 12 years to move to professional status as I continued to engage in my studies of astrology. But the biggest benefits that we can get from astrology come from having considerable knowledge and considerable experience. J.P. Morgan understood this. He didn't try to be his own astrologer, even though he understood the importance of astrology in his life. He preferred to get consultations with Evangeline Adams. And it can be very, very empowering to work with someone who has gotten the training, who has the certification, and who has had years of experience in dealing with hundreds and hundreds of clients astrologically, in order to get those kinds of insights and to bring to bear that kind of knowledge, that kind of experience. It can be tremendously important. But the problem, of course, is that getting professional help from trained and certified astrologers can actually be pretty expensive. For my own clients, and I charge new clients $1,500 for a session in order to spend about an hour and a half with them to go over their horoscope and look specifically at the financial dynamics in their chart. So this is something that we try to make available and affordable, but I have a limited number of hours in any given day, and there's some people who simply that's a little bit of a challenge there. So I offer a payment plan, but even at that price and under those terms, it's a challenge for some individuals. So that's something that we need to keep in mind there as we look at the use of astrology and getting professional help. For a lot of people, that's not really an option. It just does not work as well as we would like to see. And that's one of the reasons that we're getting ready to start a new session of our course, which is the class on how to find the money in the horoscope. The aim here is to be able to give you some training and help you be able to do the same things for yourself that you could otherwise pay a professional for. And so if you're interested in learning to use these tools, this is what this class is all about, how to find the money in the horoscope. And of course, it's also what we're focusing on today as we talk about these 8 keys to finding the money in your horoscope. And what we want to do here today is give a little bit of focus on these specific areas that you can apply right now, whether or not you choose to enroll in the class on finding the money in your horoscope. This is the aim here is to help you look at some specific approaches that you'll want to investigate, whether it's on your own or within the structure and context of a formal course of study. The first money key that we're going to talk about here is simply very straightforward. You need to have your own horoscope chart. If you're going to find the money in the chart, you have to have a copy of the chart. And you also have to learn to speak astrology to a certain extent. Now, it's not necessary that you be an absolute expert, at least to begin with, in your study of astrology, in order to get the benefits from examining in terms of trying to find the money in the horoscope. It certainly is something that we like to encourage you to do. If you can get some knowledge and some expertise, it will certainly help. But that's not a prerequisite. So what we try to do is present things in a way that can help you get up to speed very simply. And the aim here, it's kind of like traveling to a foreign country. It was funny because a few years ago, I had a chance to spend about a week in Italy, a week, 10 days, and enjoyed that enormously. And I tried in a very short period of time to learn enough Italian to get by. And so I kept trying to practice my Italian. I'm not a native Italian speaker, but I began by trying to ask directions from the cop on the corner and get a sense of where things were, and would try ordering in restaurants, so speaking in Italian, and didn't fool anybody. And most of the people there understood that I was not a native Italian speaker, but I learned enough to kind of get by. They started giving me menus in German because I guess my English Italian was sounded more like German Italian. I didn't get the Japanese menus, but it was quite an interesting experience. But this idea here is to try to learn to speak enough astrology to begin to learn some of the basics and to understand how things function in your horoscope, so that you can begin then to identify the opportunities that it presents. And this is one of the keys. We have to do this much at least. And I see a question here. How do I get a chart? I don't have my chart, says George. Well, George, here's the answer, right? You just happen to have this handy. If you don't already have your natal chart, send me an email. I gave you the email address earlier, tim@timmoss.com. Include in the body of the email, I need to have your full name, the date of your birth, the time of day of your birth. This is very important. Make sure we indicate whether it's AM or PM, and what the time zone was if you have that, and the exact place that you were born as well. And it's helpful here if you were born, oftentimes different localities will have similar place names, or we'll find a town of in the U.S. That it might be a town in Ohio, and there are 2 or 3 towns of the same name in Ohio. So indicate the county there as well. Anything you can do to help us identify, where it is exactly where you were born. And if you say it's near, if it's a small town, say near such and such a large city, that can help also. But the critical factors here, in addition to your name, of course, so we know whose chart it is that we're working on here, the date and the time of day and the place of birth, and put in the subject line for your email a free natal chart, and this will help me identify it. I get 400 or 500 emails a day, and sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, so this will help a little bit there. But again, what we'll do here is I can email you a copy of your birth chart. This is not the interpretation or the work on it. This is not a consultation, but we can provide you with a free copy of your horoscope so that you have this critical tool in hand to start to work with. And I'd be happy to help get that in your hands, because it is a starting point for a lot of what we need to do. And it's part of that first key of finding the money in your horoscope. So once you have the horoscope in hand, then the second key here that we're talking about is taking a look at the second house in your horoscope. Now, as you learn the language of astrology, you'll understand that there are sections of the chart that are divided into various slices. And this is kind of a frame of reference that we use in astrology to talk about different areas of the chart wheel and to focus on certain areas in our lives that they apply to. The second house is traditionally associated with money. There's a whole lot more to understanding the money in the horoscope than the second house by itself, but we do need to look at that. And the idea here is to understand the second house, not so much in terms of where is the money, but in terms of your self-worth, the true worth that you have as an individual. That's a critical core understanding here. And then it can also help you articulate your personal core values. We mention this because it's an application of that part of the horoscope that a lot of astrologers kind of overlook. They look at it in terms of money questions, and it's very, very important to get this sense of the standards that you set that make things valuable in your life. And this idea of core values is a very, very important one. This is something that I've worked with myself at various times. A couple months ago, I was revising my list of core values, and this is kind of personal here, but this is what I came up with as my top 8 core values. This is what I want to represent in my life and in my experience. They have an intensity, get engaged all out in experience, to express wisdom and have some knowledge that I can convey to other people, to be congruent, basically meaning that I do what I say I'm going to do, and to try to live up to that standard, to be expansive, to keep learning and growing, and to open up new connections with other people, to be respectful and to have respect for other people, for other contexts and cultures and beliefs and situations. To me, that's a very, very important personal value. Fearlessness is quite sometimes a challenge for me, but it's something that I turn to again and again. Immortality reinforces the idea of creating things of lasting value. I want to make contributions that last a long time, and it also relates to maintaining personal health as well, physical health. Synergy is the ability to make more out of combinations than appear to meet the eye. At any rate, this is kind of a personal digression there, but the idea is that we can use the second house of the horoscope to understand our core values if we explore some of those astrological dynamics there, and then this opens up new money possibilities for us if we apply ourselves that way. Then the third key is to use the principles of planetary motion and the reciprocity of the dynamics between the various houses in the chart to see where the money's coming from. This is kind of a complex concept, but essentially the factors in the horoscope are in motion, and to understand how the energy flows in a chart and where it goes from one aim to another and the various things that can be influenced in an ancillary fashion becomes extremely important in identifying the opportunities that are waiting for us there in order to bring money into our lives. And so as you look at a horoscope, if you've had some experience already with astrology and are trying to apply some of these keys to finding the money in your horoscope, this is something that you'll definitely want to apply. Look at these planetary interactions and understand the flow of energy there, and then you can begin to get a picture, especially if you're dealing with the money planets in the chart, as to what can happen with you here. The fourth key that we're looking at in terms of money keys in the chart is to use the 8th house to refine your connections with other people's money and values. In other words, if we're going to bring money into our lives, it almost always comes through the agency of other people, and we have to be able to make connections with others and to relate to what's important to them. You know, we talked about core values a moment ago. If I'm going to connect with somebody in a mutually profitable way, then I have to understand the other person's core values also. And so we need to be able to do that. When I'm able to do that, then I can connect with their money in creative ways, and a transfer can take place that can enhance the money in my own life as well. So that's one of the reasons we emphasize that. All of that happens through the dynamics of the 8th house. Now, as we talk about the 2nd house, or talk about the 8th house here in a horoscope, what we're looking at, of course, are the planetary rulers of that house, as well as any planets that happen to be in the houses of the chart. And we're looking at the relationships of those rulers by dispositorship and by other energetic dynamics along with other factors in the chart that can help us get a broader picture of what's going on. So this again would be one of the steps and one of the keys to finding that money. We not only want to look at what's happening with the 2nd house, we also need to look at the 8th house as well. Then we also want to take a look at those high energy planets in the chart where most of the action is taking place, and this will vary from individual chart to individual chart. We want to be able to identify that, see where your energy is flowing, and we also examine the 5th house dynamics. And the idea here is to be able to activate your personal ability to take chances, to take risks, because that, again, is one of the critical behaviors that we have that can bring money into our lives. If we're not taking risks in various ways, if we're not sticking our neck out, if we're not creating something new, and if we're not putting our money at risk in the markets or what have you, then we're not going to get the return. And so this is another critical factor that we look at, and we call this the 5th key, and opening up the money in the horoscope to do the examination of those 5th house dynamics, but also looking at where the most planetary energy is flowing to see whether this impedes our ability to take risk or whether it enhances it. And of course, along the way, and the 6th money key here that we want to look at is to do an examination of the planetary transfer patterns in the chart. So as that energy flows from one part of the chart to another, and your understanding of that is critically important here, then we want to see the places where the energy doesn't flow and where there are potential blockages, because if we have blockages to a potential positive money flow, then we want to be able to take preventative action there, or to bring in some kind of remedial program that will help us divert those energies in different ways, or to sublimate them, or to take some other kind of action that will give us a different set of results. And if we don't know where there are blockages, then it's going to be a little bit more challenging to deal with that. So that we would call the 6th big key, that process of pinpointing those blockages so that we can get about the business of changing the unconscious habits that we have, the patterns that prevent us from achieving real wealth in our lives. Then also with money key number 7, what we're looking at here is kind of broadening this perspective a little bit. Once we have an understanding of the natal chart and how all these various dynamics flow into each other, and we can begin to create that overall viewpoint, that overall perspective, we could call this the personal planetary mix, so to speak, then what we want to be able to do is connect that to the big opportunities that are external to us. And of course, you know, we have a lot of opportunities within our skulls, the ability to come up with creative ideas and to produce new attitudes and to make adjustments in various ways. This is quite important to us, but there are also external situations that we want to be able to take advantage of, most notably in the markets, and to spend some time looking at how we can relate to the markets becomes very important. Even if your ambition is not to be a trader actively, I think it's important to at least understand how these dynamics work. and to see how you personally can relate to that. Because if the idea of dealing with infinite risk is anathema to you, then we definitely need to begin to reformulate things for you. So this can be a challenge in some ways, and in other ways it can help you open up bigger opportunities to bring more money into your life. And same thing applies to business. Your chart will show whether or not you belong in business, or whether or not you have an entrepreneurial kind of configuration or not, or what kinds of businesses you would best relate to, what kinds of career choices would be best for you. It's interesting because this is one of the questions that Kevin sent in. He said, I want to be able to get the right job that provides balance for me. And, that's part of what we're talking about here with money key number 7, is to be able to identify, those opportunities then that can give us not only the financial wherewithal, but the sense of balance as well. And there are other situations in life that this applies to also. So that's money key number 7. And finally, the 8th key to finding the money in your horoscope is really about learning to use the cosmic cycles. That is, the planetary rhythms and cycles that are occurring in order to forecast the opportunities that are coming up for you. And here we're talking about using things like transiting planetary configurations and solar arc directions and progressed horoscopes, so a few more advanced things of that sort that give us the perspective on the timing that can be used with astrology. We have the horoscope functioning as something that helps us understand ourselves individually, what's unique to us as individuals, but we also have the opportunities that are presented by the cosmos as various planetary circumstances arise, and we can use astrology to identify those in advance. That's one of the real powerful things about astrology, and certainly it's a key to opening up the money in your horoscope as you begin to explore those kinds of dynamics. So with these 8 keys here, you have, I think, a kind of an outline of the way that you would proceed to really open up a whole new level of wealth through the knowledge of your natal chart. This is what we mean by finding the money in your horoscope. And if you already know something about astrology, if you've had some background here and have worked with astrological charts before, I think on this basis, with just these 8 keys in place, you can begin to use them to transform your financial future. It's a matter of applying them and working through these processes in a systematic way. And I'm confident that will open up a richer understanding of your horoscope on your part as you do that, and can be very, very productive for you. But you might want to do a little more in-depth exploration of these, and certainly it can help some of us at least to have a structure for doing this. And the idea here is to kind of speed up the whole process of finding the money in the horoscope for you, so that you can do this in a focused manner and apply each of these 8 keys in a systematic fashion. And of course, that's why we're getting ready to start a new session of our class on how to find the money in your horoscope. Let me pause for just a moment. I see a couple questions have come in. Make sure that if we haven't dealt with these topics already, we'll take a quick break here. Oh, okay. The problem with the misconnection has been resolved. Refreshing the screen worked. Okay, what large cycles are in play and when do they trough? That's part of what we look at with the class. We'll talk about that in just a minute in terms of the timing factors here. Let's see, I think these other questions are about technical problems. Everybody says that there are things working now. Glad that's functioning well. We do have the question box open. If you have questions along the way, please continue to do them. I've got a couple of concerns here about specific market forecasts. I would encourage you to go to financialcyclesweekly.com and look there. And if you'd like to connect on that, we also have some things on the Market Astrologers blog. So you'll find some references there to some of the current market trends. For this session, we're focusing here on really the finding the money in the horoscope. And we just mentioned, of course, that we are getting ready to start a new class in this area. This is what we're doing with that. We'll be opening the registration tonight at midnight Eastern Time. And the last day to register, it will be a 48-hour registration period. That'll be midnight on Thursday. The stroke of midnight Tuesday morning Eastern Time, and then closes down midnight Thursday. The lessons will be available online as soon as you register. We have them up and running already. And what we'll be doing then next Monday will be the first in a series of 4 Q&A calls for the students enrolled in this class session. We'll be doing those calls on Mondays. And the idea here is that you can continue at a pace with being able to do 2 of the lessons and have 1 Q&A call on a weekly basis so that you can complete the whole program within a 4-week period. We found that's a pretty good length of time, but the thing to understand here is that all the materials related to the class stay online, and you'll have permanent 24/7 access to them, so that you can take as much time as you want. We will have these 4 live weekly calls on Mondays, and you'll be able to participate in those to get your questions answered in real time. Of course, those calls are all recorded, so that if you miss a call, you can get access to the recording after the fact. But you can move at your own pace. You can accelerate things and finish it in a long weekend if you want to really get intense about it. It's a lot of material to absorb over a weekend, but it could happen. Or you can take 6 weeks or 8 weeks if you want. But the ideal pacing here that we found is really a 4-week period. This is why we've designed this schedule. Now, we want to point out that this class has been designed specifically to make it as easy as possible for you to learn all these things that we've talked about here in our time together today about what it is that you can use to find the money in your horoscope. All of these 8 keys that we've talked about are included in the class, but we have some level of refinement about how to go about that process, of course. The lessons are formatted here in bite-sized chunks so that you can move ahead at your own pace. And one of the reasons we did this, instead of having lectures that are an hour and a half long on a video that you have to kind of sit through and watch, and if you have to take a break in the midstream, then you have to figure out where it was that you left off. We keep the video segments down to chunks of 5 or 10 minutes each, so that you can absorb them, and that way if you need to go back and review material, you can do so much more comfortably, and again, move ahead at your own pace with that and keep track of where you are. Because they're shorter in format, we have about 50 of them all together in the entire class. So it's a good bit of material there, but it's easy to access. The bite-sized principle is one that we adhere to very, very rigorously here, and I think it's a very, very good effect. Now, we do want to reiterate that there's no previous knowledge of astrology required. If you have never seen your horoscope before, that's okay too, because we'll take you and get you up to speed with that in the class and handle that, well, really starting with the first session in the class. The first session is what we call the world's fastest complete lesson in basic astrology, and it is pretty amazing. I've had a number of very experienced astrologers who've taken this course who said, I'm astonished that you can get that much information crammed into one extended lesson. And of course, this is a number of video segments here. We say it's all one session, but there are a lot of videos involved, and we have a very, very systematic way of breaking things down so that you can come to an understanding of how astrology actually works, and then how you begin applying it to your natal horoscope as well. So again, if you don't have your chart, I hope you jotted down that email address. Send me an email and we'll make sure that you get the chart in hand. We also have a provision for doing that if you enroll in the class as well, but this is really designed at the outset here to get you up to speed with the basics. Now, if you have already gotten a lot of experience with astrology, I think you will find this session a fabulous review of the core principles, and will give you the perspective that you need to move ahead with a good bit of alacrity in the class. That's the reason we try to make it the fastest lesson we can. So if you have had experience, we don't want to detain you unnecessarily. Now, we do have supplemental materials with each of these sessions, by the way. So there are worksheets and supplemental reading and things of that sort, so that you can get additional information if you do require it. The second session in the class is called Getting What You're Really Worth, Your Personal Relationship with Money, and understanding how money functions for you at a lot of core levels is critically important in order to take advantage of the money in the horoscope, and especially as we look at this question of the second house in the chart, and as we talk about the core values and things of that sort. That's part of what gets emphasized in this second session in the class, and it's a great deal of material there that will help put that in perspective for you. The third session is where's your money coming from? Knowing where you need to look. And here we mean, of course, where you look in the chart to be able to find the sources of the money, to understand that planetary energetic flow that we talked about earlier is one of the key things that we're looking at with that part of this instructional program. Session 3 is very, very valuable. And of course, with session 4, we're looking at other people's money. We mentioned earlier that by focusing on the 8th house, you can begin that exploration. Session 4 does deal with the 8th house, but it goes beyond that to look at some other dynamics relative to the chart. So that you can understand how important the connections with other people are in terms of the money flow in your life. And then with session 5, we've got taking the chances you need for maximum financial benefit. Again, looking at this element of risk and the ability to manage your energy in order to take the kinds of risks that can in fact bring money into your life. That's very, very important in the process. And that's followed up with session 6, how to change your personal money habits so that you can get unlimited financial success. Most of us spend a lot of energy trying to change our lives in various ways, but we also shoot ourselves in the foot repeatedly. Not a good thing. This will get you past those blockages in a hurry. With session 7 in the class, using your personal horoscope to get more profitable results in the markets. This is a critical piece that we mentioned earlier. Even if your aim is not to be a full-time trader, you're going to want to be able to understand how the relationship with the markets works and to be able to take advantage of that. It will open up this whole avenue of true wealth for you in some amazing ways. And then the final session in the class is when will your ship come in? We mentioned earlier the importance of the timing questions. This is all about understanding those factors of timing that can impact your personal money cycles as well. So that's what we cover in the class. Tremendous, tremendous benefit there. The format here, very briefly, is we've got 8 online classes, all of them available immediately as soon as you register for the class. You can complete all the material over a 4-week period, but you can take more or less time if you choose to do so. We do have these weekly Q&A conference calls so that you have the direct interaction in order to get your questions answered. And of course, the bite-sized video segments are very, very important here. Now, for each of the videos, there's also a downloadable audio of each of these sections, so that if you want to listen to it on an MP3 player or to don't want to be tied to watching it on a screen, you're able to do that as well. And of course, with that downloadable audio, we also have workbooks, handouts, and archived recordings as well, so that you can go back and listen to calls that you've missed, things of that sort. We also have some bonus materials, including some excellent information in ebook form, and some fun and surprises. We like the fun and surprises part especially. So registration is opening up a few hours from now, at midnight in fact, but if you enroll in this class while this webinar is still in session, we're going to provide some additional bonuses for you as well. And we want to take just a moment to talk about what those bonuses are. The first one is a set of 10 complete money astrology ebooks that includes a complete textbook on basic astrology. We have a classic text here, it's a comprehensive textbook in the basics of astrology, so that if you don't have the background background already. This will give you a reference point that you can work with in a very effective way. It's a downloadable ebook. This is an item that we regularly retail for $49, and of course it is free to you as a bonus for enrolling in the class. And in addition to that, we have this is pretty a mammoth volume. I'm glad this is available in ebook format, a compilation of 6. We call it the Solar Eclipse Secrets ebook collection. It's a series of reports on the impact of various solar eclipses and how they work, and it's a fascinating study. I think you'll find it tremendously useful here. Of all these reports, when they were put together originally and offered over a period of some years, is $682. But again, there's no charge for that. That's one of the bonus materials provided to you as you enroll in this class. In addition to that, we have our little ebook on astrology and the law of attraction. A very powerful little study there that can help you use astrological principles to shift your attitudes and get better connections with resources in your life and attract the kind of wealth that you deserve. It's regularly $29.97, and that's free as well. Then in addition to that, Finding Super Riches in Every Zodiac Sign, an ebook that regularly sells for $99. That's included as a free bonus. And on top of that, we have How to Time the Next Market Trading Top, a report on using astrological principles in the market environment specifically, and that is free as well, regularly sells for $97. The total retail of the ebooks here is about $957, less a few pennies there. So that's the first part of the bonus materials that you receive. Then there's even an additional bonus that comes into play, and this is in keeping here with money key number 7, learning to connect to the big opportunities specifically in the markets. This is a program that we developed a couple of years ago, and the problem was it was unfortunately named the Confidential Astro Trading Formula for Financial Independence. The name never really caught on. We did get some students who participated in the program. We regularly sold this for $19.95, and it's online video classes, including Q&As, conference calls, courses, all in recorded format. You can access all that material in that entire class on using astrology in the trading environment, and that's free for you as well. So if you sign up for the end of this webinar here today, the total value of the bonuses that come with the class registration, when you add the ebooks and that additional course that comes with this, is $29.97, so just shy of $2,952. So the question is, why is it important to register before the end of the webinar? Well, it's simply a matter of logistics and availability. We do have limited spaces available for this new class session. And of course, as I mentioned, the registration doesn't officially open up until midnight. We will be sending out some publicity on that. But because you're on this webinar now, you can move to the head of the line and actually get in early by going to moneyinthehoroscope.com/early. That is moneyinthehoroscope.com/early, and there you'll get connected to the early bird pre-registration discount that we have available. And on top of that, there's even one more bonus that we want to mention here, specifically if you're wanting to take action now, because this is open only to the first 15 registrants for the class. What we're going to do here is provide a personal consultation with me for you on a one-on-one basis. We'll do this via Skype or by telephone, or if you happen to be in South Florida and can schedule a time to come by my office, I'd love to meet with you face-to-face. We can have the time together there and do an in-depth session. This is what I normally charge $1,500, $1,497 actually, for this individual session. But if you are one of the first 15 registrants, we'll add that as an additional bonus, and that comes an additional value there of about $1,500, which means that in addition to the $2,950 of bonuses, we add that consultation if you're one of the first 15 individuals to sign up. then that brings the total value of the bonuses to just shy of $4,450 there, 48.97. And again, the way to connect with that is at moneyandhoroscope.com. So the question I've gotten here, a couple of people asked, well, what is this going to cost me? And that's a fair question. And to kind of put this in perspective here, we've offered a number of different classes and online courses in the past. Some of our previous courses included, of course, the basic stock market astrology home study course. This came out a number of years ago. It was all on audio CDs. In its original edition, it was all on cassette tapes, believe it or not. But the audio CDs for that and includes about a 250-page workbook and a bonus DVD. We sold that for $22.95. Then we had the Rapid Astro Trading Mastery Program, which was a high-level group coaching experience. Wonderful material there. We had weekly conference calls with a group for about 6 weeks. There was an $8,000 program to get people up to speed with trading success using astrology in a very focused and high-powered fashion there. And then the course that shall not be named, the one I mentioned there that had the clumsy title, Confidential Astro Trading Formula for Financial Independence, was one that we offered for $19.95. But with this program and how to find the money in the horoscope, our concern here is to be congruent, and that's one of the things that we mentioned earlier. So the goal is to make the new course as effective as possible and affordable at the same time. So we've got a couple of payment options for this new program. The first is payment option number one, which is $5.99 a month over 3 months. 3 payments of $5.99 each will get you into the class with that payment option. And we also, and we offer this for those individuals for whom spreading out payments is important in terms of budgeting. The second option that we have here is option number 2, which is $14.97. Make this in one payment and it saves you $300. So the $5.99 a month comes up being $17.97 over a 3-month period. But then if you do it in one payment, you save $300 for $14.97. And if you register now, you'll get all the bonuses that we mentioned, including the consultation. We've still got looks like 27 people on the call right now, so there's a good chance of you're getting one of those 15 slots for the consultation if you do want to take action at this point. And the total value of those bonuses, $44.48, and the connection there is at moneyinhoroscope.com/early. And then we've got one more gift for you here before we part company here this evening. I'll go check the questions here in a moment. Because you've been kind enough to stick around and spend this amount of time with me, we're almost to 1 hour and 10 minutes at this point here. And you've gotten to the end of the session. We're going to look at this payment option number 2, the $14.97 in one payment. And what we're going to do is, again, just available only to those of you who are on the webinar and registering at this time, is knock off an additional $220. Option number 3 is $1,277, $1,277 in one payment. Again, will give you $220 in savings, not $2,200, but $220 in savings. And this is, we'll leave this up past the end of the webinar. This will definitely shut down at midnight tonight when we open up the registration. So if you do this, then you'll get an additional total savings here of about $520, I think it is, as opposed to the 3-payment plan. So we want to make it, again, as affordable as we possibly can. So if you do register now, you get the best price on tuition that we can offer you, and also the bonuses that have the total value of more than $4,400 here. The way to do that, of course, is at moneyinhoroscope.com/early. And along with the program here, remember that you'll be getting the 8 complete class sessions. All of them are in this modular video format, the bite-sized pieces, about 50 segments in all, that make it easy for you to make it fit your own schedule, I guess is the big benefit there. Of course, the downloadable MP3 audios of all the lessons as well, so that you can listen at your convenience. put it on your headset, listen while you're driving, whatever you prefer to do there, or washing dishes, whatever other activities going on. It's a great way to review course material. Of course, the complete course workbooks and handouts that will be included with this. We do have the weekly Q&A conference calls that are coming to you. Then we have the unlimited access to all the course materials online as well. This includes, by the way, a complete archive of the previous conference calls that have taken place. So there are a number of hours of calls there of additional learning material. And again, those are available for download in MP3 format so that you can listen at your convenience to those. We also have the bonus ebooks that we mentioned, about $450 worth of the ebook materials there, all on money astrology. And then the course in astro trading, the confidential course that shall not be named, and, which is a 1997 course, and then the personal consultation. If you are one of the first 15 and act fast to get your registration in right away, be happy to arrange that consultation time with you. I really, really enjoy those sessions with our students because it gives us a good chance to get to know each other. So again, this is the option number 3, which is the 1277 option, only available through midnight tonight. So we do want to take advantage of that right away. If you'd like to get the additional savings, we are opening the registration, and it will be available at the $14.97 full price after midnight tonight. So that's something that you may want to consider there as well. If saving the extra $220 is not important to you. At any rate, this early bird offer is available here at moneyinhoroscope.com/early. And we're going to keep that up there until midnight, and that will go away at the witching hour when the clock strikes 12 Eastern time tonight. So at this point, let's see if we have other questions. If you have other concerns about any of the course logistics, let's see if anybody sent anything in here. I'm not seeing anything additional. I see a number of folks still on the call. So if you are, if you do have other questions or concerns, be happy to take a look at them. And a question here, let's see, another one that Kevin had sent in earlier, which is how do we know where to look for luck in our lives? And again, Kevin, this is what we're focusing on here with this whole program that we've tried to offer here this evening. These 8 keys are 8 steps to take to begin that process in a systematic fashion. And it's essentially the same process, the same steps that we go through in the class on how to find the money in your horoscope so that you can figure out where the luck is likely to come from. And that's one of the key dynamics that we can understand by looking at the energetic transfers between the planets in your natal horoscope. So encourage you to begin that study on your own if you so choose. But also, of course, we have the program available here on how to find the money in your horoscope. And the early bird pre-registration discount is available at moneyinhoroscope.com/early. So I'll take a look at that and join us here. Let's see if there are other questions that have come in. We're going to take another look here and see. Okay, I think that has covered all of them here. Okay. I'm glad we got the technical problems resolved. Okay, Bill, that is common. And Dave, let's see, Dave is still on the call here, was concerned about the cycle troughs. And this is one of the things that we look at, Dave, in this class, to some extent. But what we're really more concerned about is how the factors relate to you as the individual. What we've discovered here is in looking at dealing with the markets effectively is that we have 3 components that we call the trading triad that we consider. One is our analysis of the market itself, and we try to identify the long-term waves, the crests and troughs of the cycles, a la Elliott wave analysis or similar approaches. We also look at the trading setups and try to identify those optimum trading opportunities. This is what we do with the Financial Cycles Weekly newsletter. But what the whole focus of finding the money in your horoscope class is about is the third component of the trading triad, which is you as a trader. And so if you're interested in making money in the markets, it's important to understand how your personal cycles apply to the cycles of the markets. And that's what this program is really focused on. We certainly do a lot of exploration in some of our other programs of the question of the trends in the markets and the ups and downs of those cycles. So it's something that you want to pay attention to there, and be glad to steer you in the right direction if that's of more interest to you. Let's see. I think was there another one that just came in here? I think so. All right. Well, I think that pretty well wraps things up here for us. I don't want to keep you inordinately here, and appreciate your spending this time with me here this evening to review our 8 keys to finding the money in your horoscope. Hope you found it beneficial, and look forward to talking with you again soon. And for those of you who have not joined us yet with the class, I see several of you signed up. This is very good. We want to welcome Henry and who's that? John. Thank you, John. I'm glad you could join us. And Elizabeth. Okay. So we have several people signing up here. So we do have several of these opportunities left for the free consultations. But we want to take action right away if we want to be able to participate in that. So we'll sign off for now. And if you do have further questions, don't hesitate to send me an email at timboss.com, and I'll be glad to answer your questions there. And hopefully we'll have some additional contact as we go ahead. So good night, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and appreciate your taking time to explore these ways of finding the money in your horoscope. And let's see. And we can wave goodbye. And I think Ron is still with us, and Dawn. If you're still there, we'll say bye to Dawn, and to Ron and to Dawn. I think everybody else has left at this point, but we'll go ahead and sign off now. Thanks so much for joining us.